Hi, this is Jasmine, and I'll be analyzing the manga Barefoot Gen. The manga Barefoot Gen, Volume 1 by Keiji Nakazawa, highlights many atrocities that the citizens of Hiroshima faced before the dropping of the atomic bomb. We'll be looking at pages 125 to 134. In this episode, it becomes apparent that the war affects all Japanese people. No matter where they go, there is never enough resources to sustain everyone. There's also a strong appearance of military practices throughout the episode that show the need for compliance and belief in the system that is already in place. A critical essay written by Christina Hong called Flashword Democracy, American Exceptionalism and the Atomic Bomb by Barefoot Gen really looks poignantly at these things. A quote from that is, quote, encapsulates the episode. There are strong themes of militarization in it, given the way the students are treated. There are parallels between how the students are being treated and how people who join the military have been treated throughout the whole entire manga. There's also parallels between Nakaoka's ideas and his son Akira's ideas, as they both are starting to question the role of the emperor and the government. Counters for the democratization and reconstruction part of the quote. Now, we'll start our analysis. On the first page of this episode, it opens up with a wide shot of the sunrise, indicating the start of a new day and a new episode. The next three panels are establishing shots, showing us that we're in a monastery. In the next scene, we get Akira. Akira has been missing from the story since the beginning, after he was sent off to live in the countryside with his school by his parents, because they believe that the countryside has more resources for people. On the bottom panel, we get introduced to Mr. Kishi, who becomes our main antagonist for Akira throughout the story, with his demandingness of the students. On the first panel of the next page, we get a high-angle shot overlooking the courtyard, where we can see the students lined up very neatly, and they are told to bow towards the Imperial Palace in Tokyo. This is presumably where the emperor lives. In the next shot, we get a wide shot, in which we can see the sun in the background and the students off in the corner, which establishes that the students are being oppressed or overlooked by the sun. The sun is prevalent in this because Japan is known as the land of the rising sun. So this can be synonymous with the emperor, as the emperor is often seen as a god, given with the context of the conversation that we see happening between Akira and Tamura. We then get a close-up of Akira and Tamura in their conversation, where Akira is asking questions about why do they bow to the emperor every day, and Tamura's only reason that he can give is that God protects Japan. And Akira asks a very poignant question about why does the emperor allow Japan to come into danger? And Tamura does not have an answer for this besides that you just have to believe in the emperor. And this is going along with the themes of compliance throughout the story, because there's no need to question anything, which is what Mr. Nakaoka, or Akira's dad, constantly does, because he believes that the government is set up by rich people to continue on the war. This is not the common belief held by other Japanese people, because they believe that you have to believe in the emperor. This ties back to the quote where you start to talk about the demilitarization, democratization, and reconstruction of Japan's government. Because you can see that by this, the emperor can get away with almost anything because people will start to believe in him, and they are told to believe in him. Compliance comes from within the story, is that the students are told to believe and be submissive towards people of higher power. But on the next scene, we see the bird flying away, which alludes to things that happen in the future, such as Akira running away. So in this scene, establishes the problem of the countryside. We get a close-up of the meal given to the children, which is non-substantial. It's potato leaf soup and a cup of gruel, and we can see this is the meal consistently given to the children by Kira's expression in the face in the next panel over. We get a close-up of his face, and it seems very disappointed by this meal. But it's all he can eat, and you can see in his thoughts that he's very unsatisfied with this. As we get an overhead, we're looking down on students as like an oppressive figure. We can even see the students are off to the side of the frame instead of the center of the frame, giving even more feeling that we're over them. The adult in the frame is more higher up, and we're not over them. Then in the next panel, we get a close-up again of Akira, and he looks very disappointed on the meal he's given. Then we get a middle shot, where we can see the teachers in the background, and their meal looks a lot more substantial because they actually have a bowl of rice instead of a cup of gruel that the students are given. And we can definitely see a divide between the students and the teachers, because there's even a screen door dividing the class of students versus the teachers, and we can see themes of power and overtaking because of this. On the next scene, then we have the sun again, which is a passive chime, and it's also there to establish the overseeing of what these students are doing. We get a wide shot of the students marching along, and this seems very militaristic because of the way they're holding the farming utensils. It looks very much like a soldier will hold a gun. On the next page, we get a couple close-up shots of the students working, but we don't see any evidence of the teachers working, which is a divide of power. as the teachers are not doing the field work that the students are doing. So we can see more themes of compliance to this, that the students have to do this and have to work hard. They don't even get to study. They're here to work and work on the farm to feed themselves, showing how much they have to give up to survive. In the bottom half, we see the beginnings of resistance through Akira. As he is so hungry, him and his friend Tamura are so hungry, they're willing to risk getting in trouble to eat a couple of potatoes. And they're so happy to eat the potatoes. You can see how excited they are to have a meal that is different from rice, gruel, and potato leaves, especially since they were promised more food. So this is a big realization of resistance, because they're not just being satisfied with what they're given. They're searching for more. And on the next page, they unfortunately get caught stealing potatoes. So this is the first instance of violence where the students get beaten up, and they get beaten up back into compliance. And Mr. Kishi berates the students, telling them that soldiers on battle are facing much more difficulties than the students are facing. And he even calls them cowards, and that they're going to fail as soldiers in a couple of years, presuming that they do become soldiers, showing that Japanese people of the time focused strongly on military. And he calls them wimps, and he beats them around, until Mrs. Asoda comes in and tries to stop the violence from happening. And while she's a little unsuccessful in such that she gets brushed off by being told that we have to raise strong Japanese children to later on fight for the empire, it does stop Mr. Kishi from beating on the kids. And then we get a close-up of their faces, and then the next scene we get a low-angle shot where we can see the sun high above Tamura and Akira. The low-angle shot helps establish we are no longer above them as we were before all the high-angle shots. This is the first low-angle shot we see, and it makes us feel as low as the boys. In the next shot, we get a wide shot that establishes where they are. They're near a river, and they're talking about wanting to go home. And then we start to see more issues that pop up while living in the countryside. On the next page, we get more close-ups of them squishing ticks and lice off their clothing. Close-up of the sores that are prevalent on Tamura's legs due to malnutrition. So this definitely establishes that the students are suffering more than they are just from being hungry. We then get a scene of rocks whizzing towards Akira and Tamura. This parallels a fight that's happened earlier within the manga with Gen and Shinji. Nakazawa even uses the same reveal scene with the stripes in the background and 3 boys. But here, as you can see by this page, Akira and Tamura do not rise above and gain strength the way that Gen and Shinji do through violence. They kind of allow themselves to get beat. You can even tell at the first panel of this page that Akira and Tamura are a position of no power whatsoever. They're not wearing any clothes, and they're framed so that they're on the bottom of the page, while the 3 village boys are fully clothed and they appear a lot bigger and stronger than Akira and Tamura. Akira and Tamura don't retaliate. They don't get the strength to do so in the way that Gen and Shinji do. So this is definitely a scene that highlights compliancy throughout it. There's no signs of resistance against it the way that Jin and Shinji would do. They just get beaten up. Significant lack of power that they own, because Akira's in the bottom of the page, and the boys who beat them up are definitely higher on the page. So we can definitely see a difference there. On the next 2 panels, we have close-ups of Tamura and Akira's faces. And first one, we have an extreme close-up of Akira's face. And the next one, we have a close-up of Tamura's face, and they're talking about how they don't want to be a part of this anymore, and we can really see how badly beaten they are in their expressions on their faces. Devise a plan to run away. So then we get a scene of the sun. This is important because it marks your transition of not having any resistance and not gaining strength to Tamura and Akira gaining strength. As the next panel, you can see that they developed a mission and a plan of escaping back to Hiroshima, and they're very depth. And the next scene on the last another page, and this one is to mark the transition of starting to resist and grow against and grow stronger as they run away and they don't get beat up by the farm. And the continuation of the marching, and this marching seems more hopeful. While they're still soldieristic in the sense of the close-up of the feet, it was a different feel, as it's more of a escape towards freedom instead of marching towards further oppression. At the end of the page, where we are left on a cliffhanger because we do not know what happened to Tamura. We don't know if he's safe because we get a scene of Tamura on the floor and Akira crying. But we see Akira's home and safe because he's surrounded by siblings. In conclusion, throughout the whole entire episode, we can see themes of militarization, compliance, and resistance. I wish to thank Christina Hong and her essay written for providing the quote in my analysis, and Gigi Nakazawa for writing Barefoot Gen. And I'd like to thank my sweet mate Alex for listening through my recording to help me with any issues I have. I'd like to thank my other friend Alex, who helped me with the editing